Well, I'm here right now in the, still in process of being built out Yahoo Studios right now, brand new with Zero in studio today. Talk a little bit about Smash, Smash 4, and the exciting stuff that's coming up. We've got Evo down the road. Thanks for coming in, Zero.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, nice to meet you here. I think first time we've ever done an interview, so it's pretty cool to have you in here in studio with us. Hey, let's go ahead and start off. You just coming off of an event this past weekend. You want to tell me about how that went? I heard some stuff didn't go well for you there.
Okay, this is funny. Okay, we could talk about this event. You want me to be like, you want me to hate you with the facts?
Just tell me about what this event was. Maybe we'll get into some of the personal details of it in just a second.
So behind the scenes, right, like between like the top players, right, we all came to this random agreement, right?
Yeah.
That CEO just never happened. It just never happened.
Yes.
It was a lie. It was a fake tournament.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna put it under the rug and just walk away.
Okay.
That's what everyone was trying to do, but that's not what's gonna happen.
Yes.
But in terms of CEO, I will say was my worst performance in almost 4 years.
Yeah.
In any tournament.
I mean, this is what I hear, and that's a testament, of course, to the fact that you are such a strong player, had such a first place win streak for so long, I know. So not placing top 8 is obviously like a devastating thing for you, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely tragic.
Yeah. Well, okay, so explain to me, how that came about. What led to sort of your 9th place finish?
Okay, so there's a bunch of reasons. I think one of the most important reasons is that Smash 4 is a game that constantly changes. So every month or every 2 months, we have a patch that can change things pretty hardcore. For example, Mewtwo was a character that when he was released, pretty much everyone universally thought he was one of the worst characters in the game, like completely unviable in tournament when it comes down to that. Several patches came around, and now he's a contender for top 8 or top 5 in the game. So patches can change the game completely. Some characters that, for example, Sheik at some point was the best character in the game. Everyone thought that, and if you didn't think Sheik was the best, you were probably a Sheik player yourself, and you were trying to, be a little biased there, But Zero, and then, so that was mostly the case. But this time around, the things that changed was that so many characters that were bad now are great or are contenders. Characters like Bouncer or Charizard, random characters like that now have really strong options that can kind of just win. And the top tier characters got toned down quite a bit. Some characters are lighter, some characters get combo easier, some characters are less powerful, which means that some of the more underrepresented mains of certain characters, for example, the best Bouncer, the best Palutena, the best of all these characters that previously were not, as dangerous, now are real threats because their characters are just way better now.
So it sounds like you're blaming your loss on balance changes. You're like, my stuff got nerfed, all the other stuff is OP now. This is a very long-winded way of getting to that point, right?
Well, that's one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. But it's not the whole story either, because I think the most important thing right now is that the game is so balanced right now that for example, if you ask me right now what's the best character in the game, I can give you a guess.
Right.
But I can tell you who's the best character because I just don't know. And if you ask another top 10 player who's the best, they just don't know either. Because the characters are so close to each other and they all have very significant weaknesses and strengths that it's just impossible to tell who's the best right now.
Right.
So most people think that there's around 3 or 4 characters who are the best, and then there's another characters that can counter those characters, and they do worse against the others. But in general, every character has a counter, and every character does well against a variety of different characters.
Sure.
So you want to counter pick. So you want to pick different characters. Usually in Smash, you want to stick to one character, and you want to push the character as far as you can. That's usually the metagame.
Yeah.
For example, in Melee, most people use one character. Very few people use 2, but in Smash 4, the metagame is literally use 3 or 4 characters, which is a big change to other Smash games. So one of the reasons that I will say it's hitting me pretty hard right now is the fact that most of my secondaries got nerfed too. So so my main characters were nerfed. I'm like, okay, I can rely on my secondaries now. But then my secondaries got nerfed too, so I'm like, okay, now I gotta invent these new characters real quick. So that's really difficult.
So the balance designers are targeting you specifically. Trying to knock you out of that first place position.
You actually want me to throw some shade real quick?
Yeah, do that. I mean, that's great.
All right, this is something that I usually say on Twitter, which I think is really funny. I don't think this actually happened because of that, but if you look at it, it looks like pretty convincing. It lines
up, okay.
Yeah, it lines up really well. So back in the day, me and Mewtwo went to a Japanese invitational tournament that we got invited from winning Apex doubles. This is 2015.
Okay.
It was called, if I'm not mistaken, it was called Tokaigi.
Okay.
Back in the day. So we made it to grand finals, and it was an event that had no prize money. So me and Mewtwo, we didn't really want to, play a super tryhard set because a lot of Japanese fans in the crowd were having a lot of fun.
Right.
And they were clearly not competitive, like willing to, watch us like time out each other or play super slow. So we wanted
you want to put on a good show.
Exactly. So we went Captain Falcon Dittos, which are, Captain Falcon is a character that is not the best. He has a lot of weaknesses, but he's for the people. People like to watch him play. So we went Captain Falcon Dittos. We had a good match, and then we went one serious match. So we went two like for fun matches and one match just competitive, just to try it out. So I took out the tournament, right? And then the only two characters, like a month later, right? The only two characters nerfed. Actually, not even a month. I think 2 weeks. The only two characters nerfed were that character, which was Didnt for the second time, because he just got nerfed. Like he just got nerfed like seconds ago.
Sure.
And then Captain Falcon.
Okay.
So
as you're intentionally bringing yourself down by sort of showcasing these characters. This is what I'm hearing.
I kind of want to go back in time. I just pick like low-key pick any other character.
And see what happens.
And see if imagine I pick Mario, he got nerfed. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think maybe that's what happened. Maybe they just for some reason they make really weird changes that later on you can tell why. For example, they nerfed Luigi, not because he was doing good in tournaments, but because he had a high rate win on For Glory, is what I was told.
Okay.
Right, so that's like the online mode for competitive players. And then other characters were buffed that didn't really need it because they were doing poor on For Glory.
Right, yeah.
So
I mean, that happens a lot in a lot of competitive games, right? Where they want you to have a pretty even spread of success across the map, right?
Right, so it was pretty random. It's really hard to guess. So maybe it just lines up and looks like that, but I want to think that it's not the case.
Yeah, it's all you, yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay, so your stuff got targeted. You couldn't win because all your guys got nerfed and everybody else got buffed. This is what I'm hearing.
Well, that's a pretty big part, and also the fact that if you add all of that right to the fact that I recently had a finger injury. So after Genesis, I think around the end of February, I had to actually take a break for the game, like forcefully. I didn't want to for like 2.5 months. I just couldn't play any game at all. I couldn't even use my hand like, in general. I had this really bad injury in my finger that didn't allow me to play. So I couldn't practice at all. And in that period of time, there were two really long patches. Like I wish I could have been around for that time. So when I came back, the game I was like, okay, this game is pretty different now.
Yeah.
So that was pretty hard. So I've been pretty much adapting to the new strategies for so long. And I only really got back maybe a month ago.
Okay.
So it's something.
So you have to sort of get yourself back up.
Basically,
I guess,
yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, I've been doing pretty well. I had the best streak of all time in second places.
Right. Yeah. Hey, that's a streak, I guess. All right. So we've got Evo coming up, though.
Yes.
So you just showed maybe your poor showing in some years. How are you going to make sure that doesn't happen at Evo?
Okay. So for Evo, obviously, I have a much better idea now of what's meta, what's the right, because we have to pretty much figure out what's the metagame. We don't know what's the metagame, so we have to figure out what's the real best strategy. Now, I recently realized, best way to go about the game right now is to counterpick. Right. So you need to have strong secondaries. You need to have the ability to play different characters on different stages. Sounds easy if I put it that way, like, oh, just play different characters.
Right.
But characters in Smash are very, very complicated. Even though in Smash 4 characters I will say learning them is a bit more simple than, let's say, melee characters, right, who take a longer time because they're more developed. It still takes a long time, especially if you want to pull them out like in a world, tournament. So secondaries have to be beefed up a little bit. In terms of counter picks, they have to be more thought out. I need to be less stubborn because I feel like sometimes if I lose a match with one character, for example, Diddy Kong, who's my best character right now, I will tell to myself, okay, maybe I should have played that better. So let's try it again. Let's run it back, same stage.
You have to realize, okay, maybe that's not the counter pick for the situation.
Exactly. I need to be less stubborn and say, okay, this is not gonna work. Let's just try strategy B right now and strategy C. That's how it should be. So that's sort of the three most important things. And I also feel like lately pressure has been something weird because I feel like back in the day I didn't really care too much about the pressure. I didn't care too much, but I feel like lately it matters for some random reason.
Even when you were on your 50th win, going for your 51st, you didn't feel any pressure at that point in time.
Sometimes I just didn't.
Okay. But lately that's happening. Do you think that's because of your injury?
You know why I think it is? It's because I feel like when I was on my streak, I feel like I really figured out how to play the game. I knew how to pick characters, how to go about the stages. I really had the metagame down. I felt comfortable playing.
Right.
But now, because things are so different, I feel uncomfortable. So I think it may have to do with just being uncomfortable in general.
Right.